back here when I first came. I think the Comolino Singers, bless you, I just love to hear you again. I think they began when I was, they started that time when I was and this was all dark in here. And one of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to become the pastor who replaces the pastor who's been here for 25 years. And they've done studies on this like it's a disaster because the congregation is used to certain situations. And the new person comes in and is going to make changes, and that creates friction. As nice as Virginia was, it was a tumultuous time during the 10 years I was here because the first week I came into this pastorate, I got a phone call saying you've had a child stolen from your preschool. And I said, we have a preschool? That's how new I was in the whole thing. And that was a trial. The windows were a trial because the idea of spending money on the sanctuary was opposed to ideas that had gone on before. And so what I did is I got people to dedicate. If someone died in their family, they would put one of these windows in. So over time, we have one window, and then two windows, and three windows. The other thing I did is every month we had this wonderful news that we wrote about. And I would take a Greek word to help people understand the evolution of understanding. See, the Bible is written at a time when people's vision of the world is different than our vision of the world. And so you have to have an evolution of understanding, only meaning that you have to bring up into the present time what words mean. Well, the word sarx today we're going to talk about is just the big one. So I put a word in metamorphosis because Jesus is transformed. Metamorphosis, I've read Kafka's, Metamorphosis, I thought was really good. And I get a scathing letter from someone in the congregation saying, you're being too intellectual and you need to get down to our level, Well, words are important. Now the word for flesh, when we started to read it, it said, the sins. It's not the sins. Flesh is not sin. It's a horrible translation. Sin means separation from God. Whatever separates you from the love of God is what sin is. The flesh is not sinful. We are embodied. This disease that's attacking us is teaching us about our bodies in ways. My wife is in quarantine, and I have the feet of the princess and the pea. And if I step on a grain of sand, my feet feel it. So I wear shoes in the house, and my wife says the greatest form of bringing disease into the house is shoes. So I had to take my shoes off, put my shoes on, and I can't do it. I keep forgetting, and I'm spraying the floor and doing it and spraying the floor, washing your hands, all of those kinds of things. Enfleshment means that we are in bodies. And the bodies rule us in terms of our impulses, our needs, our understandings, the way we learn. We learn different things about our bodies from our parents. They have different rules. Different people have different rules. But the enfleshment means that we begin our journey of understanding our relationship with God from a body, with all of the body's mysteries and contradictions and everything that goes on. So sarx simply means that you are enfleshed. Paul said, we gave you freedom. Don't violate freedom by operating totally out of the urges of the flesh, but look at the meaning of spirit. How does one practice spirit? Really tough. How do you practice freedom? Freedom's never ended. Ask our brothers and sisters who are enslaved about freedom. They're going to tell you again and again, freedom is still a process of unfolding. The danger is that you can lose freedom. It's like a marriage. Marriage starts out with a wonderful opportunity to enjoy the presence of another, and as you go through time, it goes up, and it goes down, and it goes up, and it goes down, and sometimes it doesn't make it. All relationships are about movement and growing and changing and dialogue and taking issues and having discussion about opportunities. You don't operate from one person's point of view. You don't operate from preconceived ideas. You constantly have to work through what it means to have a relationship. You see, religion's about relationship. If you believe there's a God in the sky someplace, God bless you, do that. But the God that Jesus taught us about dwells here, in the heart. And all religion is about the way we relate to each other, as Jesus taught us. Now the problem is we have all these rules about who Jesus was, and we forget what he taught us. We don't practice Jesus' ministry. We practice, he was the Son of God. He was incarnate. He rose from the dead. Those are all wonderful things. That's not what Jesus taught us. Jesus taught us that when you live a human life, you have the opportunity to learn to become invested in another human being or other human beings. And that investment is called love. And it's the hardest thing you'll ever do in your life, is to truly love somebody over a long period of time. Even your children, I have two of them here today, are hard to love all the time.
Yeah. Me?
One is, one isn't. You know, I mean, that's right. But love is a process. It's a growth. It's a learning. It's a dialogue. It's an involvement. Now, we're looking at a pandemic which is teaching us about being in our bodies, which I think is a wonderful thing. Hard for me, but a wonderful thing. We're being separated. We're touching elbows. The black brothers are doing this. That comes from that movie. What was that movie called? The Black Panther, was it?
Yeah, Black Panther.
Black
Yeah.
Panther. And when the king and the queen had to get together, they needed to have a ritual. So they said, we put the left hand here and the right hand there. We're touching elbows. Namaste, the great Hindu greeting. These are all ways to connect with each other. Pandemics are interesting. In 1919, the First World War was over. And the soldiers coming back from all over the world spread a disease called the Spanish influenza. In the United States, 653,000 people died in 6 months period of time. If we were to put that in proportion to Kailua with a population of, say, 40,000, it would mean that in 6 months, 200 people would die. Not counting the people in the hospital. 200 people would die, just by the statistics. A pandemic influences the way we trust each other. And so what was built into the pandemic of Europe was a great fear of the way in which things occurred, which led to the development of Nazism, led to the development of separation of people because of their religion, and led to an internal sense of uneasiness among people. In my family, it's kind of interesting. I have an Irish Roman Catholic grandmother who nobody liked, including me. She knew how to make nasty a daily activity. And it's really hard when people say, wouldn't you like to go to heaven and be with your relatives? And I'm going to go, I'll be with your relatives. I don't want to be with my relatives. But what I learned from this epidemic was something very, very important to me because it changed my vision of her. She had two brothers who would serve the military in the First World War in the Navy. Both died in that 6-month period of time. And that must have scarred her tremendously. And I was never able to understand her scarring as much as I had to deal with her behavior. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sarx, flesh. Jesus didn't tell us the flesh was wrong. He told us you had to limit your understanding of flesh. The Sermon on the Mount. You've heard it said, the law, no mas, but I say to you the opposite. Believe me, you don't want to practice the opposite of what Jesus said. because you take the thesis and the antithesis and it synthesizes to a new point of view. In every one of those cases, it becomes too radical and too impossible to do it literally. And yet people keep doing it literally. Keep making the body evil. And I want to blame the Roman Catholic Church and all of those Christians who for years began to say the body was a sacred place where sexuality was evil and flesh was evil. Because that's not what Jesus teaches anyplace. If you look upon a woman, the law says, you shall not commit adultery. If you so much as look upon a woman, gouge out your eyes. You'd have a congregation of blind men if you took that literally. What does that mean? That means I have a biology that God Almighty created that has an instinctual way of dealing with stuff that I have to moderate, I have to monitor, I have to understand that what Jesus was talking about was not mutilating the body, but honoring women. And we still haven't got it right. We're still trying to understand the very fact that women are as important in attitudes and ideas and possibilities and dreams and gifts as any man that ever lived, including Jesus. And so we stand at a threshold with this disease at this time, which is going to call us to look differently at the way we see other people, the way we touch other people, the way we interact with other people, where we begin to get some kind of leadership that has a moral compass to it. It's going to be very important in the midst of what's going on about us. Sarx is a blessed word. Flesh means the gift of God in which you were created. It's your responsibility and my responsibility to moderate that flesh in ways of the Spirit. And what are the ways of the Spirit? You got a whole list of them. Go on and look at that list of the United Church of Christ that sits outside your door, and that's what Spirit is. It's compassion. It's equanimity. It's distributed justice. The days of Jesus, all over the Roman Empire was carved into stone. Lord Augustus, Son of God, Savior. And the salvation of the Roman Empire was justice by crucifixion. Along came these strange people called Christians who said, Lord Jesus, Son of God, Savior. And the resurrection was the incarnation of the love of God, the distributive justice, which Jesus preached about, honoring each human being in their own dignity, responding to the needs of other human beings in a way in which they receive just as much from life as you do. It means to honor each other and to establish relationships from the primary place of God's love in your heart. You don't do acts out of guilt, you do them out of gratitude. Because God so loved you. God so became present within you that you might have a compass, a focus,